Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Caltoncutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. So today is the day that camera's never in the right spot. Today is the day that I get to introduce a whole new line of slingshots. I understand I'm a knife maker. I'm supposed to be, forging blades, grinding blades, doing that all day, every day. But hey, even if us knife makers have got to have some fun every once in a while. And for me, lately, that has been slingshots. You guys saw the video a week or two or three ago, something like that, where I did a review on the Scout, the Scout LT by Simple Shot, and how great the new latex that we've got, both the latex from Simple Shot and then just basically latex in general. How far they've come in the last 5 years or so as far as performance, not just like overall performance and flat out speed, but for me it's the performance in the cold and the reliability in the cold. As you guys know, I'm predominantly a hunter with slingshots, or at least that's the way it used to be. And I would practice all summer long with a slingshot, and then when I'd go deer hunting, if I'd see a cottontail or a grouse or something, I'd grab my slingshot, grab a ball out of my pocket, and go to shoot the thing. And the latex just didn't handle the cold all that well, especially when you needed it. Well, this new latex that we've got out now, oh my goodness. I think I told you in that last video about how I shot a cottontail rabbit at about 7 yards with a chest shot and with a 7/16 steel ball, and I recovered the ball. The shot went through the top of the right shoulder, clipped the underside of the spine, and then I dug the ball out of the inside of the offside shoulder, when I recovered the rabbit. And that was on a 34-degree day Fahrenheit, which just blows me away that they're able to do that. And that day I wasn't holding my slingshot inside my coat or anything to keep it warm. I was holding it outside, just like this, hunting with it. So pretty amazing advances. So since they've come so far, I decided to go ahead and start offering my views on some slingshots. And we are going to start off with this one right here. This is, I think it's 13-layer Baltic birch multiplex. Okay, and it's basically just a really high grade of plywood, but it's some pretty incredible stuff. Some of the ones that I made that didn't quite come out right, I hung them up in the catch box and shot at them with 3/8 inch steel, and you know what? I mean, they're not going to survive direct hits or too many of them, but they are surprisingly tough. I have fork-hit a couple of these. Honestly, it did a little bit of damage, but it wasn't enough to make me want to stop using the slingshot. I mean, it's a pretty good material. So this is what we are going to call the Barred Rock goblet. Okay, so the goblet design is, let's see, oh, I've got one right here. This is a whole stack of them that haven't got band sets yet, so the bands aren't in the way. So anyway, so this looks like a drinking goblet, kind of like a wine glass, only a little bit more substantial. The regular goblet design, it's got a much more pronounced curve down here at the bottom. So it, let's see. Like this one right here. I decided to take this curve and bring it out and bring it less curvy. The reason is this curve right here, I do a back pocket carry where I just, stick the slingshot in my back pocket and usually keep the ammo in that pocket also. This curve right here is enough to where it'll catch a ball, and then when you go to pull it out of your back pocket, that ball drops on the ground instead of staying in your pocket or in your hand where it's usable. So I went ahead and sloped that a little bit more so that it won't do that. It still has more than enough. Let's see. I typically hold a slingshot with my right hand, although I have been learning how to shoot a slingshot reverse, just for those times that you have a shot that you can't take, with your normal handedness. But anyway, so I hold them about like this. So it's still got plenty enough curve that it pushes your hand up into the grip area, but not so much that it'll scoop balls out of your pocket. You'll notice that this is torched, okay? So I've got a pretty good selection of slingshots that, not only ones that I've picked up in the last 6 months or so, but ones that I still have from a while back, and then ones that I cast about 5 or 7 years ago or so. And with the exception of one, they are all too slick. Okay, this one by Simple Shot, it's really nice because it's a pinch grip. Okay, so when you grip that thing, it tends to not to want to move. Not only the grip up here, but this large flat portion here, it locks it in, and so it doesn't really want to twist when your hands are sweaty or cold and they feel real slippery. But the rest of them, they're all too dang slick. Even the ones that have got texture added to them, to me, are a little bit on the slick side. Almost every single one of them. This one is really cute. This is the Wasp FTC, but it's just well, I wear an extra large glove size, so a normal size hand, and there's just hardly anything to be able to grip. But anyway, so with the exception of the Titan by Chris at Catapult Carnage, and his comes wrapped in paracord, most of them are too slick. Now, lots of folks must agree with me, because you'll see pictures of not only the Scout, but the Ocularis. You'll see all of them, or quite a few of them, where people have taken and done really cool paracord wraps on there to give them extra grip. Or they'll wrap them with athletic tape or something like that. So what I've done is I took the normal birch multiplex, cut it out, sanded it to the profile, to clean up the profile, went ahead and ran it through a router, and then I touched it up a little bit with sanding just to smooth up the really, really rough edges, but then I didn't sand it any more than that. In fact, what I did was I clamped it up I clamped the tip up in one of the vices here, and then grabbed a propane torch and torched it. All right? What that does is, first of all, to me, it makes it look cool. Just the way it is. Makes it look like my axe handles. Here, hang on a second. Here's one of my favorite little axes, and it's got the same thing. Now, of course, this is hickory, but straight from the factory, they've got that varnish on there. So you always sand that varnish off because it'll tear your hands up. You sand that off, get it down to bare wood, and then you torch it with a propane torch, and then you finish it off with, I like Watco Danish oil. So that's the exact same thing that I did with these. I torched them, and then that gives you an awful lot more grip. Okay, these, even with my, calluses on my fingertips from, grinding knives, and all the heat gets, bakes calluses into your fingertips. Even with that, I can still grab a hold of this with both hands. When it's cold outside, still I can grab it real good. When my hands are a little bit wet, I can still get, plenty of purchase on it. Now the finish on these things, what I did was I played around with the finishes. These were kind of the last run before I came, up to where they are right now. This one is bare. As you can see, it was too slick, and so I put athletic tape on it. This one right here was straight. This one is straight tongue oil. Minwax. Yeah, Minwax tongue oil. And it does pretty good, but it's still a little on the slick side. It didn't soak down into the wood enough before it cured. It cured kind of closer to the surface, and so it's still a little on the slick side, which I really didn't care for. This one is straight up. Now all of these, with the exception of the bare one, were torched first. This one right here was torched first, and then with the Danish oil over the whole thing, dipped in the whole thing. Now that one worked really good. I mean, it's sealed, you know, moisture really can't get in there. It's nice and grippy, but the problem is the fork tips. They're too dark. When you're shooting in low light situations, that fork tip tends to kind of blend in with your background. So it was close to perfect, but it wasn't quite there. And this one right here, I was just playing around with some dye. So, this one right here was the last of that set. This one was a straight up polyurethane spray. Now that one was really close. I mean, it was nice and grippy. My fork tips stayed nice and light, so that they won't blend into a dark background. See how much brighter they are? Okay. So it's grippy and the fork tips won't blend in, but it's shiny. It was a, I can't remember what it said on the can. I think the can's in the other room. But it was a high gloss polyurethane. Now I've never worked with polyurethane a whole lot. So what I thought was, I came up with the last version. Now you'll notice that the body has got the Danish oil. It's really nice and grippy, that the Danish oil goes in deep enough and then sets up. So it gets past that top layer, so you get that nice grippiness, but then the finish is down a little bit, down inside the wood some. But then the fork tips are still nice and bright. So what I did was I did a 2-layer dip. I got some polyurethane in a can that was a satin polyurethane. And I dipped the fork tips into the satin polyurethane. So I torched it first, dipped the fork tips up to the band groove, all right, on both sides, pulled it out, hung it up, did the rest of them, then came back, wiped off the excess, and then let that seep in and dry. It wasn't a fast cure, it was just a normal cure, I guess. Then turned it upside down, held it by a rubber band, and then dipped the body into the Danish oil, dipped it in, pulled it out, hung it up on a doohickey, and let it cure for a couple of days. So now what we get is the best of both worlds so far. I mean, the best finish I've been able to find. You get that nice bright fork tip that doesn't blend in with a dark background. It's a satin polyurethane, so it doesn't get glare. Okay, it just is nice and bright, and it's just there. Okay, I suppose if you were shooting against a white background, like maybe if you were doing some aerial shooting or something, or maybe even in the snow, it might blend in a little bit, but you can always darken that up with like some pencil lead or some wood ash or something like that, and then clean it back down to that nice bright material again. Whereas once it's dark, you can see I sanded that to try to brighten it up, and it didn't bring it back. So anyway, so that's about it on the finish. The overall size and everything, I should have grabbed my ruler. Okay, we better go through this pretty quick. This comes in at 95 millimeters outside to outside. Okay, we have got 37 millimeters inside to inside. Our fork tips are right at 30 millimeters wide. It's at an 18 millimeter thick multiplex. The overall height is 128 millimeters. And like I said, I wear an extra large size glove and it fits about perfect. Okay, so this is how I typically hold one. You could do, if you had a kid or somebody with small hands, you could do a hammer grip. And if you've got big enough hands, you can do a pinch grip also. The fork tips from the router are rounded off real well. So if you decide that you do want to do, let's see, how am I going to show you this? Okay, so if you decide that instead of holding it perpendicular, you want to cant it forward, you can do that. The bands will go this is kind of weird. Okay, so that would be straight up and down. If you want to cant it forward, you can, and it won't hurt nothing. A lot of guys like to shoot with a little bit straighter wrist. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. The regular versions have got thong tubing, or thong holes on them also. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole slingshot. Now, as it comes, this is the way that it will come in the box. All right? It will come banded, okay? With an extra band set, extra tie-in material, and 50-ish pieces of 8mm steel, and I think the package said 10 to 11mm clay, okay? I bought a slingshot the other day, and it came like this. That was it. That was all in the box. They did have some instructions, but that was it. I mean, it was a frame and a lanyard, and that was it. Okay, so for a guy like me, where I cut all my own bands, I buy pouches separately. I don't cut my own pouches, but you know, I buy the band material, you know, in rolls. Okay, cut my bands, tie them with the pouches, and install them on the frames myself. That doesn't bother me a whole lot. Most of my customers are knife making customers, or you know, knife purchasing customers. So they might not be slingshot guys right off the bat, right? Well, there's nothing worse than buying something in, you know, an area where you might not, you know, you might be a beginner or a novice, and you buy the thing and you can't use it, okay? Now, I understand about, you know, the possibility of lawsuits and everything, right? Well, let me tell you, I mean, when I was a kid, and still right now, you can run down to Jack's, Murdoch's, Walmart, anywhere else, and you buy a slingshot from Daisy or Marksman or Barrett or Barnett, I can't remember. Any of those slingshots are already banded right out of the package, okay? So, I mean, if it works for those big companies, why can't it work for us, right? So what you're going to get when you purchase this is a slingshot that's ready to go. You pull the slingshot out of the box, you look at it, you're like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool, like the finish, you know, the grip, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got ammo that's matched to that band set. So pretty much, you order the thing, it comes to your door while you're waiting the 1 to 3 days, you know, for the priority shipping, which I, you know, have had really good luck with. After you know, hit the Go Baby Go button and, you know, put your credit card information and everything in, and you got to wait a couple of days for the slingshot to come in. Get on YouTube and look up Nathan Masters, okay, he's the guy from Simple Shot, and look up how to build a catch box. Okay, you'll take a cardboard box, I might do a video on it too. Take a cardboard box, you put a stick through the back of it, you hang an old t-shirt on that, and then you hang yourself up a piece of string and you put a tin can in the middle of it, or aluminum can. And that way you can shoot at that and then you can recover your ammo. Other than a target and a place to shoot and a pair of safety glasses, you buy this out of the box, it's ready to go. Okay. Now, with these slingshots, this frame, just the frame, I'm pretty sure you can put just about any kind of band set on it that you want within reason. Okay. I shoot, this is the one I've been carrying. This is .66 green GZK, I guess latex, and it's cut 25 millimeters wide at the fork tip and 20 millimeters wide at the pouch tie-in. Okay, this right here is shooting, and it's I don't even know what my active length is. My active length is, we better stay in millimeters, I guess. My active length is 180 millimeters. I've got a 29-inch draw. I draw to my cheekbone, right here, the outside of my cheekbone. And this is sending a 9.5 millimeter ball, 9.5 millimeter steel ball through both sides of a water-filled soup can at 10 meters. Okay, so more than enough power for just about anything that you're going to hunt with a slingshot. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so that's the size bands that I use. I suppose you could go, I think they only sell the latex up to 1 millimeter thick. So I suppose you could go like a 30 to 25 in 1 millimeter thick if if that's what you wanted to pull all the time. These are going to come with .54 yellow GZK bands, cut 20 to 15. Okay, I didn't have enough of these simple shot large pouches for all of this first run. I think I've got like 30 or 40 more coming. So some of the first runs will have slightly different pouches, but there'll be pouches big enough for the clay balls and the 8 millimeter steel. Okay, the reason I'm going to go with this size is because this is a really nice target and kind of an all-around non-hunting band. Okay, I really like this clay that I've yeah, it just says clay ammo. I'll put a link to the Amazon place in the description. But this stuff is really, really nice. At 10 meters, it seems to be doing pretty good on the targets. In fact, here in a second, we'll go down there and we'll shoot some onto my, I think it's a 80 millimeter spinner. At 10 meters, it seems to be doing pretty good on those. Once you get back here, back up at the bandsaw, that's 15 yards. It kind of seems like the groups are opening up and I'm having a hard time hitting the spinner. But this clay stuff, if you get a fork hit, it looks like that. So pretty much nothing. And the clay, it breaks up. You can't see that. It breaks up into pieces. Okay. They do have some sharp edges, but they're not going to cut you or anything. And I guess they're biodegradable. Okay. So that is just about perfect learning how to shoot ammo. So what I'm envisioning folks doing with these is, first of all, learning how to shoot a slingshot and having a whole lot of fun. Okay. Second of all, knocking a tin can around in the backyard or wherever it is that you decide to shoot. Hitting spinners in your catch box. Garden protection. That's big. For here it is, at the new place where my wife's got a big garden, or even back when I lived in town, garden protection was huge. sparrows, starlings, cottontails, you know, all kind of stuff get into the garden, right? Well, you toss a clay ball in that direction. If you hit it, more than likely, unless you hit it in the noggin, you're not really going to hurt it all that much, but you're going to let it know that it shouldn't come around anymore. For target shooting at longer distances, or if you can't find the clay, the 8mm steel balls, you know, they're great. In fact, I've been sitting back here at 15 yards tagging that 80mm flipper with this 8mm steel, and it works really good. This band set is a little bit fast for the clay. I don't have crony numbers, but it's the clay is fairly light, so the band set is a little bit fast for that. It's a little bit slow on the 8mm steel. I also have some I think this is 1/4" steel balls that I got from, I think it was Jack's, or no, maybe Murdoch's. And it's a little bit fast for those also. But this band set has got enough power to run, you know, your normally available steel accurately, but not too fast. And it's light enough, boy, you can sit here and shoot all day long and not have to worry about getting tired, getting the shakes, anything like that. It is set up to be face drawn, so with a face anchor, so cheekbone, you know, jawbone, down here, something like that. It's set up to be a little bit, you've got some room. So instead of doing a face anchor, if you pull it back to here, that's okay. I wouldn't try full butterfly with it. If you find that you're needing a little bit more power, you can always, you know, take the band set off the forks, shorten it up a 1/2 inch or so, and then retying it, and then that'll give you a little bit more power. But all in all, you know, I mean, this is one of the two band cuts that I shoot, you know, all day long. This one's for hunting, and I do have a problem with 13 striped ground squirrels around here. So that's why I carry this most of the day. If it wasn't for them, it would be this all day, every day, pretty much. Okay, so let's do a little bit of shooting here, and then we'll call it good. In fact, no, wait a minute. Let's do the one that, this one is all banded up and ready to go out the door. And so, I mean, I can't make a slingshot and not shoot the thing, right? Okay, so I think you can see, so the target, the spinner is going to be just over the hood. Well, you see the barrel, right? The bottom barrel. And the spinner is going to be right about there. So look right over the missing hood on Vance's bug and up about 1.5 feet, and that's where the spinner is. We'll shoot some of this 8mm steel. Now I got to shoot around the camera. There we go. Oh good, you're getting some of it. Hey, that's pretty cool. I can see what you're seeing, which is okay. I was paying too much attention to the camera. That's kind of cool there. Oh, got the, so sometimes the, you should be able to see it, the flipper spins up and then gets caught on the duck that's on the top. So let me grab a handful of clay here. And we will get a little bit closer and you can see about what the clay does. Okay, so we are at about 10 meters now. I'll use an 8mm steel. Okay, so when that, you see how that spinner is kind of caught up and it's hung up over here? Well, what it did is it wrapped up, and it wrapped up around the duck. So if I hit the duck in the, it's upside down. If I hit it in the neck, then it'll release the spinner. So we'll use a steel ball for that. See if I can get it. There we go. Ah. And every slingshot to me feels a little bit different, even though this one is exactly the same pattern, exactly the same band set, everything. There we go. Okay. So now we'll go with the clay. We'll shoot a couple of those and then we'll call it good. Promise y'all, I don't normally miss this much. I think it's, heck, maybe there's something to that shooting in front of a camera deal. There we go. And we get the last one. You can see what a difference is in that that spinning in between the clay and the steel. And of course missed the last one. So anyway, so like I said, I got these up on the website yesterday. You know, if you like them, give them a try. I tell you, these things, they are just almost too much fun, right? But like I said, these things will come banded, ready to go. I have to kind of see how they go. You know, I mean, if they're flying out the door and, you know, folks are needing extra band material, all that kind of stuff. To begin with, if you want, you know, more bands, I mean, if you need a couple extra band sets when you purchase this, go ahead and drop me a note in the comments, and, you know, I'll make you up an extra couple and, you know, have to adjust your total or something. But right now, my website really isn't set up for, you know, like, I mean, it's not as cool of a website as, say, Simple Shots, you know, where you can go in, you can say, hey, I want 4 band sets, you know, I want 2 slingshots, I want a copy of that magazine, you know, and then it kind of all adds all that up, and then, you know, figures out shipping and all that kind of stuff. You know, up until now, my website's been more custom cutlery, whereas people are typically buying 1 knife, maybe 2 knives, shipping's included, all that sort of deal, right? With this, we're just going to have to kind of see how it goes. So if you know, if you want one of these, but then you want the hunting band set, if you think you're, I mean, if you're good enough for that and you have a need for that extra kind of power, just put in the comment section on your order, and I can swap out the target band set with, you know, the band set that I use every day. Which also, this is the same band set that Gamekeeper John is working with lately, and he's really liking it also. But yeah, so if it ends up being something like that, I'll have to hire somebody to go through my website and kind of change it up so that it'll accommodate, you know, purchases of smaller amount items like that versus, you know, larger, you know, $100 up custom knife type deals. And if it doesn't, well, then that's okay too. I'm going to still make the slingshots and have fun with them. Either way, this is what we're starting with. There's a couple over there that are prototypes, a little bit nicer. I've still got to figure out like my clip design, how I want to, I mean, I'm making the clipped versions, but I haven't quite decided how I want to offer them to the general public yet. So once I get that figured out, then we're going to start making some really nice ones in my off time from knife making. We're talking like aluminum frames with, you know, micarta or G10 or burl or bronze or, you know, Damascus clips or, you know, heck, maybe even Damascus whole frames, something like that. But, you know, just really nice, I mean, just nice, fun slingshots, right? Okay, one thing I will tell you about these slingshots though, every time I get a new slingshot, pretty much every time I pick up one of these slingshots, everybody that I've given one to, we all say the same thing. You pick one of these things up, you start shooting the thing. Even the guys that are picking them up, they haven't shot them in 20 years and they're getting 4 kits right off the bat. They're missing the whole catch box. Every single one of them has got this big old honking grin on their face because it makes you feel like you're 10 years old again. And so yeah, they're just an awful lot of fun. So again, this is Joe Calton with Caltoncutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. Whether you pick up a slingshot from me or from somebody else, I hope you pick one up and you get that same back to 10-year-old feeling again because it's just a whole lot of fun. And we will see y'all next time.